Hi, I'm Shaun from Shaun's Trains TT120 and welcome to episode 6 of the oo9 build. In this episode we're going to be working on this area that will give the oo9 layout a little bit more height, and we'll also be working on the first waterfall on the layout, which is here, down along here, and we'll also be working on the road that leads from off the board down to the bottom. We'll also be working on all the rock facing and all the foliage. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start off with the main structure of the lift out section. As this structure is a lift out section, the entire construction of the main structures will be made out of foam board, just to make it light and give it a little bit of strength. I'm going to start off by marking out where all the river and the road is going. Once I've established the location of the river and the road, I can then establish how the landscape is going to be on this section of the lift out section. I then superglued the top of the road in place and added a support at the other end of the road. The bits I'm working on now is some little bits of relief foam board, just to give the rock sides a bit more relief and make them pop out a bit more. There really is no wrong or right way of doing this. It just depends what sort of effect you're looking for when it comes to making the rock facing. The look I'm trying to achieve here is I'm just trying to make a bit of an extra pattern to go onto the rock facing where there's a few gaps. The big bit behind I'm trying to make as like a mountain that is a little bit more further away, and the little bits that I'm testing that behind, I'm going to be having them pieces on a few bits of foam board just to make it look like it's further away. I'm now just working on some supports to hold up the rest of the road before finishing off all the structure of the scenics. I'm now working on the structure for the riverbed. A waterfall will drop down to the riverbed, and then the riverbed will step down, and then it will just flow to the end of the lift out section. I'm also thinking how the land is going to form around the waterfall while I'm working out the structure of the riverbed. I thought it was a good time to work on the landscape on the other side of the riverbed and the other side of the road as well. This foam board that I'm fitting into place will be the side edgings of the lift out piece of the layout. This will all be filled with newspaper to form the main support of the landscaping from the sides to the road. The front piece of the foam board, when I do the middle section, it will match what will be on the middle section of the layout, so it looks almost seamless, when it joins up. I then started to fill this section out with newspaper, ready to start on some of the covering for the landscape. It's now time to cover all this structure with a base. This time around I went with something a little bit different. I had some leftover masking tape from a previous project and I've decided to use that as the first layer. Normally I'd use paper mache, but I thought this time around I'd just try something different. After I'd done that, I went over with a layer of plaster cloth all the way along the lift out section of the layout. The thing I really love about lift out sections is the fact that I lift out. I can literally lift the whole section up and have the section of layout that I'm working on right in front of me. I do try and plan what bits of the layout I work on first in relation to how far back the bit is I'm working on. The general rule of thumb for me is you start on everything that's at the back first, but in this case I started on everything that was on the left hand side of the layout, and now I'm just working on this lift out section that sits on the side of the left hand side of the layout. I now need some more rock castings, so I'm back to making rock castings again. I'm back to using the craft concrete powder for these rock castings that I've used to make the other rock castings. The rock castings look pretty good using this, but the problem is that it does make the layout a bit weighty when you add these castings on. Primarily you use hydrocal plaster, but I was just looking for a cheaper alternative, and because I picked this up I thought I might as well use it. So now I'm just mixing up a mixture of the crafting concrete, and I need it to be a sort of thick sort of mixture, so it becomes kind of gloopy. Weight for a model railway, it can be a bad thing, but in this case I could do with a little bit of weight to keep the lift out section down, so the weight of these rock castings would be just enough weight. So what I do now, once the mixture is mixed, I just put the mixture into my rock castings evenly, and within about 10 minutes all the rock castings should be dry. Once the mixture is in, I gave both of the moulds a bit of a tap and a shake, just to get rid of any air bubbles that are in the concrete. I had a fair bit of the mixture left over, so what I did is I laid out a plastic carrier bag and I just evenly added the mixture onto the carrier bag so it was all out flat. The reason why I did this is so that when this mixture dries, that has been evenly spread out along the carrier bag, when it all dries I could break it all up and then it looks like little tiny bits of slate. The mixture itself won't stick to the carrier bag, so it should be easy to break up and then peel off. I checked my castings and they were relatively dry, so I started to peel the castings out of the moulds. I had varied amounts of success with these ones, but they all should be good to go on the layout. There is a fair bit of flashing when you take the castings out of the moulds. With this flashing you just peel them off the castings. These could also be used as bits of slate. Now that the concrete in the bag is dry, I can now break it all up and then it's all ready to be used as little bits of slate for the layout. That's now all my castings and all my slate pieces ready to use. Once all the base layer was dry, I then carried on to adding all the rock castings and the slate chippings that I made earlier. Once all this was dry, I then added a layer of brown undercoat using some burnt umber acrylic paint. The reason why I paint a brown undercoat is because if I add any scatter to the scenics, if there's any parts of the scenics where the scatter hasn't taken, then all you'll see is the brown paint underneath. With the brown undercoat in place, I'm now going to focus on the road. And for this, I have an idea of using some of this wet and dry sandpaper. It's black wet and dry sandpaper with a nice rough texture that'll make an ideal road texture. So I've cut this piece out, ready to add to the scenic. As you can see, I've done it in two sections, the bottom section and the top section. I'm gluing this down by using thick PVA to glue the road down, and now I'll leave weights on the road sections overnight so they all dry properly. As you can see, I had some leftover rock castings that came in handy for weighing the road down. While the road was drying, I decided to add some scatters to the left side of the scenic section. I started off by brushing a layer of PVA glue over the area I wanted to cover. I'm going to be using some Woodland Scenics blended turf as a first layer of scatter. Once I've finished adding this layer of scatter, I've used some watered down PVA just to seal in the scatter on the scenic area. You can now make out where the waterfall is going to be now, but I'm now going to do some bits to the riverbed. To do bits for the riverbed, I'm going to use this cheap cat litter. The stones of the cat litter is ideal for this sort of job. I've dropped a layer of the cat litter on the bottom of the waterbed and the waterbed at the top of the waterfall. Once I've dropped the cat litter stones where I want them on the layout, I then gave them a coat of watered down PVA glue. I want to have a bit more rock facing on this side, so I've got some ready mix filler and I just spread some ready mix filler, you know, nice and thick over this area. Once I was happy with the amount of filler, I used the knife just to make some rock markings in the filler before it dries. I felt like I needed some more rock here too, and I just sculptured it the same way. I also tried to tidy up this end too. This end will be a joining piece where I will join onto the main layout, so I'm not too worried at this stage, but I just thought I'd make it a little bit more tidy. The filler was now all dry and it was time to paint. Admittedly, I did paint these rocks a little bit too dark, so I did end up having to redo them, you know, with some lighter highlights off of camera. With painting rock work, sometimes you don't get it right the first time, so you do have to sometimes go back over it with some lighter colours. The finish turned out to be a lot better after I went over all these rock pieces with some highlights. I'm working on a workbench series playlist for my channel where I do little odd bits for this layout and the TT120 layout when I get started again on that one. I'll make a more in-depth video regarding rock painting and making the rocks. I'll post a video in my workbench series at a later date. I'm dry brushing some highlights into the rock work now, but these were still a bit too dark. I'm now just dry brushing some blue acrylic into the rock work. This is to show signs of slate in the rockwork. I then decided to dry brush some various shades of green just to bring out some more details in the rock. I'm trying to replicate where water might go on the rocks and where moss might sit on the rocks. With the paint on the rocks now dry, it is now time to work on the last layers of the scenics. I'm now brushing on some PVA glue so I can then start adding the next layers of the scenics and start adding some foliage. The hoover I'm using is one of them novelty desk hoovers, one of the little small Henry hoovers, just to clean up the excess. The glue I'm brushing down now is for the edges of the road, but I'll use some universal ground cover. The road is a bit narrow here, but where the road is at the back of this scene, it just looks like it's more in the distance rather than, you know, close towards you. I'm now just adding some clump foliage to areas to make some bushes. All this foliage really helps to break up all the rocks. You may notice the waterfall in the background. I hadn't recorded the process of making this waterfall because the last time I made a waterfall was back on the TT120 layout. That was a long time ago, and because this was the first waterfall I've made since then, I wasn't confident about filming the process until I knew I got it right. I'll probably make a video regarding making the waterfall and add it to my workbench series. Once I was happy with the foliage, I then sealed all the foliage in with a layer of watered down PVA. As you can see, in some areas I was losing a battle with gravity trying to get the foliage to stay on. The way you would normally seal all this in is with some clear varnish or some hairspray. Because I didn't have either at the time, I just settled with using the watered down PVA glue. When I did get some hairspray, I then went over all the bits that I'd done just to make sure they all stay in place. You also may notice the painted mountains in the background. I'm not a painter by any means, and this was my first time I'm doing any sort of painting of back scenes, so I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. But again, this was not something that I recorded, you know, because I wasn't too confident to record doing this because it was my first time. But now that I'm a bit confident, I'll do another video for my workbench series in regards to painting some back scenes. I was back at the hoovering again, and now you can see it, have a better look at the hoover I was using. I continued the foliage on the rocks on this side as well. This was pretty much the final push to finishing this lift off section of the layout, and I couldn't be any more happier with the way it turned out. With this lift off section in place, the layout now has a little bit more height, and the track that goes underneath it can now be concealed, so the train looks like it's going somewhere rather than just in a circle. This is probably the stage of the build that I find most exciting, because this is the stage where that baseboard with just the track laid on it then starts to come to life. We're at the final stages now with this lift out section, and it really is looking great. On this bit I've just added some clump foliage just along the top of the rocks at the front. This is to break up the rocks from the mountain behind. The mountains behind I've mounted onto some bits of frame board just to create some distance between each mountain to make it look like they're further away from each other. As you can see, I was losing that battle with gravity again. So this is pretty much this area of the layout pretty much finished, and having this bit on the layout really gives the layout some height now. I'm really happy with the first waterfall on the layout. I'll do a short video on how I did this waterfall, because this section with the river, the bridge and the waterfall was done over a course of a couple of days, and I didn't want to film it until I was completely confident of how this was going to go. But as you can see, it went all right in the end. And this bridge was made up with some strips of balsa wood. I've got a nice set of balsa wood from Hobbycraft. All various different lengths and different thicknesses. Even some bits of balsa wood board. For stuff like this, like the bridge. But I'll go into more detail about stuff like this on some shorter videos. So we've got all the mountainside there, and all the road. In fairness, the road does look a bit narrow, but where it's at the back of the layout, you'll be looking at the layout from this sort of angle, so you're not particularly going to notice that the road is slightly narrower at the back. So I think it'll be okay. Like what I've done with the mountains in the background. This white bit at the top, that's meant to be just a little bit of snow just on the top, because these mountains are in the distance and they're a lot more, they'll be a lot more higher when in the distance. The same that you've got a bit, a bit of snow just on the top. I just tried to break the layers up from the top. And you've got a bit of green and then a bit of mountain. So just breaks up the layers of the mountain. So yeah, we're just gonna wrap the video there, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. We'll do a full pan view of it. So that's what we done the last time. Yeah, and that's as far as we got with the scenics on this side, which is really looking good. So next time I'm gonna give this side a bit of a break, because we've got this bit sort of thing, and we're just gonna give this side a bit of a break, and then just work on this side with the sidings and where the slate mine's going to be. So I'll just do a couple of episodes where it's on this side and then go back to this side. And also, as you can see, I used up a lot of clump foliage, and got to get some more clump foliage to continue on this bit. But on this side I've pretty much got all the stuff I need. So on the next episode we'll work on this side, and then we'll work on this side the episode after that. So if you watched all the way through, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could hit the like and subscribe button, it will really help the channel. So until next time, you all take care, and bye bye.